All right, thank you so much all for joining in this lecture as well. So this is going to be again, as I tell you on daily basis, that this is very important from uh, the point of view of examination, because this is just a start of new subject. As you know that for management there have been uh, three or four lectures till now, and we have studied about a number of things. Like I have taught you regarding management, its concept, philosophies, functions, principles. Then we did regarding planning, organizing, staffing, directing, delegation, number of things we have studied. After that, we studied particularly about motivation. That was the most important topic. And the similar important topic is leadership and its theories. This is very important topic from exam point of view, and number of times we have experienced that question have been asked from these specific two topics. Okay, so the two topics named motivation and leadership are correlated with each other. They relates to each other in a very great manner. So in today's lecture, we shall be going through from some of the important leadership theories, and I shall tell you how the leaders are made. In yesterday's lecture, we studied that what is the meaning of motivation? How do you get motivated? Basically, this was the question to which we try to find our answer in different kind of theories, whether this was traditional or modern based theories. And in today's lecture, we shall be trying to find the answer of a specific question, that is how leaders are made. What is the way of making leaders? How can you obtain the qualities of leader? How leadership is done? So this is going to be today's agenda, and we shall be trying our best to find the answer of this question by going through different theories regarding leadership. So this is the topic about today. I hope you would have got the description about that. Although there is meaning, there is features, the characteristics, number of things are there, these are not that much relevant, but still I believe that you would go through from one or two reading at least. And the most important thing, these are the different theories. I'm going to tell you in a very clear manner. Number of times the individual theories have also been asked, and these have been asked in collaborated manner as well. So you must know the name of all the theories, and you also must know the different propounders of a different theories. Okay, so in this way we shall be running this lecture. And again, as the convention is there, I ask you in all the lectures, is my voice clearly audible to you? I just need two or three confirmations so that I can start my lecture. Just reply in yes if you can completely hear me. Angela ma'am, can you hear me? Ayushi ma'am, Madhulika ma'am, and Sarga ma'am, am I completely audible to you? Can I start my lecture right now? All right, I have got the confirmation from each and everyone. Let me set up some of the system so that I can share this with you, and I can make you read each and everything. And I must tell you, this is a very interesting topic. One of my favorite topic. I never made any kind of mistake solving any question from motivation or leadership. So these are very interesting theories. I'm just going to share the screen so that this is visible to you and we move further. Okay, let me do some system so that each and everything is fine. All right. So now this is going to be about today's agenda. Okay, leadership and its theories. First of all, we have to understand about the meaning of leader and leadership. Okay, first of all, leader is everyone who can influence others. Okay, this can be you as well. If you can influence your family members, if you can influence your relatives, if you can influence your friends to do something, influence anyone to do something which you want them to buy, which you want them to do. Okay, influence others to do something which you want them to do. Okay, if you want that your children should do something, you can influence them. At that situation, you are just playing the role of a leader. If you can influence your friends, your family, relatives, anyone to do something which you want to, which you want them to do, that is called the position of a leader. And what is the leadership? Leadership is just your quality. This is just your quality, or the process by which you can influence others. Okay, leader means who can influence, and leadership is the process by which you can influence others to do something which you wish them to do. So this is about leader and leadership. So leadership simply refers to influence others in such a manner to do what leader wants them to do. This is the simple explanation. I think all you would have understood this completely. So the most important thing in case of leadership are theories. Again, these can be divided into several items. You are not supposed to be worried about a traditional and modern, because they have been clubbed in a way that it becomes very easy for you to understand. They are not going to ask you that which one of the following is traditional or modern theory. Okay, so one by one I am going to tell you the different theories, and we are going to find the answer of a question: how you become a leader, how you become a leader, or how you can get quality of leadership. So these two questions are there for which we are going to find the answer in different theories. So one by one I'm going to explain you all again. Before starting, I must tell you, maybe because these are, I think, 6 or 7 or 8 theories are there. If this lecture is not completed in that time span, we shall be taking the third lecture as well for today. So theories of leadership, there are two schools of thought regarding leadership. Two schools of thought means two approaches or two philosophies are there which tells you how the leaders are born, or how the leaders are made, how the leadership qualities are obtained. So first school of thought tells being leader is a by-born quality. You cannot earn this quality. Okay, if you have this quality by born only, then you are leader, otherwise you are not a leader. So this is first school of thought who tells you that you can achieve by birth this quality, otherwise this you achieve your, you get your hands, you get your fingers, you get your legs, you get your mind, your face, eyes, nose, everything by born. Okay, at the time of your birth. In the same way, this first school of thought tells you that the leadership is a by born quality. Leader can't be made, they are always by birth. This is first school of thought. Second school of thought is completely different. They tells you it's not the compulsion that you get qualities by birth to be a leader. These can be acquired anytime. This is also a study. This is also a quality. This is also a process. Okay, you can achieve it anytime. Okay, if you are very shy at the time when I was young, when I was a child, when I had the stage of adolescent, I was a very shy. I never thought I can be interact with anyone in this manner. Okay, so even the people or student who are very reluctant to go in public, they can be a leader once. Okay, so this is about second school of thought that tells you it's not necessary that you must have all the qualities by birth or by born, but these can be obtained with the passes of time as well if you work hard in that area. So now it's a start of all the theories. So this is the first theory. This is trait theory of leadership. Trait simply means some habits. Traits simply means some habits. Okay. So this theory says that if you have some certain habits, then you can become a leader. Okay. If you have some certain habits in your behavior, attitude, personality, then you can become a leader. And basically, two or three names are there which are associated with this specific theory. First name is Ralph M. Stockdale. They found that various researchers have related some specific trait to leadership ability. They tells that if you possess some specific traits or habits in your behavior, then you must have leadership ability as well. So the most famous name associated with the trait approach is Bernard and Ordway Teed. Once the question was asked regarding them as well. So they have told some kind of a traits. They have propounded this theory. Trait approach was popular in this specific time frame, 1930-1950. According to this theory, there are certain special qualities and habits and traits which are essential to be successful leader. If you have that traits, that means you are a leader. What are these traits? These traits are, for example, knowledge of business, your initiative, tenacity, energy, decision-making skill, your flexibility, your creativity, your charisma, your emotional intelligence, drive and motivation, confidence, honesty. All these are traits. All these are habits. If you can achieve these kind of traits, then you can simply become a very successful leader. Okay, so this was the first theory which emphasized on some habits and traits. Now we move further to the next one. This is situational leadership theory. It tells you it's somewhat differs with the trait theory. What does it tell you? It tells you no one is leader by born, first of all. Completely neglects the first school of thought. Secondly, having specific traits are not necessary for becoming a successful leader. They tells you that merely having traits is not necessary. The situation must be conducive. Situation. If at a specific situation you can take a decision and you can influence other, that means you are a leader. Okay, I'm giving you a very good example. Okay, Adolf Hitler took benefit of the situation and become leader once he was just a soldier. Okay, more than 1 crore people were died at his era. At the time of World War II, you can imagine just with few decisions taken by that man, you can get the information, or you can imagine how successful or how influential he was a leader. Okay, he just took the benefit of the situation, become leader. Churchill just become great leader at the time of war. Winston Churchill. Then it always depends upon the situation for making someone a successful leader. Situation has an ultimate role for making anyone a successful leader. Suppose in your locality there are more than 50 people. They are discussing about something. Okay, this is a specific situation, and suddenly you get an idea and you come forth and you tell them your idea and you influence them. You must do as I say. This is called situational leadership. So this was the second theory. I hope you would have understood this completely. Now we have to move further. This is the third one, and this theory is the followers theory. It tells you not the traits are important, not the birth is important, by born qualities are important, not the situation is important, but your followers are important. If you have maximum followers, if you have large number of followers, that means you are a leader. Okay, so this is very simple theory. Followers of a person make him successful leader. Having large number of followers is necessary for becoming a leader. Leader listen, understand, solve problem of his followers. So this was very simple theory which tells you that you must have large community following you if you wish to become a successful leader. Then this is behavioral theory. Okay, it does not emphasize to specific trait, to specific situation, to specific followers. It just tells you that along with all these things, you must have ideal behavior. If you have ideal behavior, then people shall listen you. They shall pay heed to what you are telling to them. So this is what is necessary for becoming a successful leader. A leader may be basically a decision maker, advisor, informer, situation giver, of a solution giver, planner, and he should present an ideal behavior before his followers. Only then you can become a successful leader. So in this way, the leadership is achieved as per behavioral theory. Okay, so we have gone through about 4 theories right now. First is trait, you must possess some traits or habits. Then situation is must for becoming a leader. Then followers, you must have large number of followers to become leader. Then behavioral theory, you must have ideal behavior for becoming a successful leader. Just remind all these 4 in your mind. I can ask you anytime any question. This is the 5th one. This is forced group approach theory given by Kurt Lewin. Okay, and he tells you that no individual is a leader. No individual is a leader. Okay, individual should not be recognized individually. Okay, he should be recognized as a group he is in. Okay, we are a group of 10 people. Suppose 9 people are listener and one man is a leader, and he can easily influence the decision of all 9 people. Okay, so as per Kurt Lewin or forced group approach theory, he tells you that all these should be considered as a group, and this group should present the leadership. Okay, so leadership is not about one alone; it should be considered as a group. So it emphasizes that a leader should not be recognized as an individual only; rather, he should be recognized as the whole group which is representing. So A, B, C, D, E are there. If E can influence all them, then E should not be recognized as individual. He should be recognized as a group, and this group must have its own recognition. This is the forced group approach. So it's not only specific individual, but should be considered to be a leader because group makes him a leader. So group should be considered as a whole. That was the theory given by Kurt Lewin. I don't think that this is very difficult to comprehend. So we move further. This is the next one. This is known as path goal theory. This tells you that was given by Robert J. House and Terence R. Mitchell. Okay, that was developed by them. He tells them a leader is a person who can direct about right path. Who can direct about right path when you are not up to your goal, when you have completely lost in your way. A man is a leader who can again take you in the right path. So he can make you achieve your goal in life. So this is path goal theory. Path goal theory of leadership attempts to explain how a leader can help his subordinates to accomplish the goals of the organization by indicating the best path and removing obstacles to the goal. So this theory just emphasize that a leader is a person who can tell you the best path in the time of uncertainty, and he can make you achieve your goals. However, individual must be able to link his own effort with his or her performance. Efforts you have to make. The best leader can just influence and can tell you the right path. Efforts you have to make. Effort the individuals have to make. So that was about path goal theory. Okay. So after behavioral theory, what we studied about forced group, and after that we studied about path goal. How many we have completed? We have completed 6 theories and 2 schools of thoughts by now. So this is the 7th one, very famous theory. Hersey and Blanchard's situational leadership theory. Okay, situational leadership theory, very famous theory. Number of times question has been asked from this particular theory. That was given by Paul Hersey and Kenneth H. Blanchard. This is known as situational leadership model. Okay, this is based on the premise that leaders need to alter their behavior depending on major situational factors and readiness of followers. So this is the situational leadership theory. In detail, I'm going to tell you right now. Okay. Uh, so first of all, there are two kind of behaviors. Okay, there are two kind of behaviors the manager has to adopt or a leader has to adopt. Okay, there are two kind of behaviors. The first is relationship behavior. Relationship behavior. Okay, the second one is task behavior. Task behavior. I am going to give you the difference between these two. Relationship behavior means when a leader tries to make the good and cordial relations with his followers. What is the task behavior? When manager or leader can influence or is influencing his followers to do a work for him. Okay. So this theory, what does this theory says? There are four possible combination of these two behaviors by leader. Okay, a leader can have low relationship and high task behavior. Okay, this is known as telling style. This is the first style as per the situational leadership theory given by Hersey and Blanchard. Okay, again, listen and comprehend this carefully. When the leader is showing low behavior but high task, low relationship or high task behavior same as a relationship, this is known as a telling style. Okay, if he is showing high relationship and high task and high relationship, this is known as a selling style as per this theory. If he is influencing high relationship but low task behavior, okay, that is high relationship, low task, this is participating style in nature. Then if he is showing low relationship with peers and low task behavior, then this is known as delegating style leadership. So these are some styles of leadership. This is known as TSPD: telling, selling, participating, delegating. Telling when there is high task, low relationship. Selling when there is high task, high relationship. Participating when there is high relationship, low task. Delegating, low relationship, low task. So these were the four leadership styles as prescribed by Paul Hersey and Kenneth H. Blanchard. As per situation, what is the situation? Situation is this. Situation is relationship behavior and task behavior. There are four possible combination: first combination, second combination, third combination, and fourth combination. So in this way, you have to understand this theory that in case a specific behavior is adopted by the manager, that specific style of leadership comes out. So you have to remind their names and you have to remind how these are achieved at. These are the things you have to go through. Then the next approach or the next theory of leadership is Fiedler's contingency approach to leadership. Okay, so this is again somewhat conceptual as was the Hersey and Blanchard's situational leadership model. Okay, you have to listen and you have to understand this very carefully. That was given by Freddie Fiedler. He provided a starting point for situational leadership research. On the basis of studies, Fiedler identified three critical dimensions. Okay, how many? Three critical dimensions of leadership situation. Okay, that would be help in deciding the style of leadership. Okay, style of leadership. So there are three critical dimensions as given by Fiedler's contingency approach. What are three? I am going to tell you. First is position power. How much position a leader is having. This is position power. This is the degree to which the power of a position enables leader to get group members to obey instructions This is just the power of leader, position power of leader. This is the first critical dimension. Which is the second? The second is task structure. This refers to the degree to which he tasks can clearly be spelled out. Like A is a leader if he can deliver the task to B or C. This is known as task structure. If the task or work can easily be delivered, this is known as task structure. So first critical dimension in three were position power, second was task structure, and last is leader member relationship. This is leader or follower relationships. Okay. So these three things are critical dimensions for choosing the appropriate style of leadership. Now I'm going to tell you what is the style of leadership. Okay. So what I have taught you as the three critical dimensions, these were position power, task structure, and leader member relation. Okay, position power, task structure, and leader members relations. Okay, if these all three are strongly positive for leader, then this is a favorable situation for leader. Okay, again listen this carefully. All the three critical dimensions, if these are positive for leader, this is favorable situation. If these are negative for leader, this is unfavorable situation. Okay. So what I have taught you till now, this is that they have given three critical dimensions. The first is position power, second is task structure, third is leader member relationships. And if these are positive for leader, then this is a favorable situation. If these are negative for leader, this is unfavorable situation. Okay. So they are telling you, in case of very favorable situation, task oriented leadership style should be taken. Very favorable situation. In case of very unfavorable situation, again task oriented leadership style should be adopted. If this is moderately favorable situation, then a relationship oriented leadership style should be adopted. If this is very unfavorable or moderately unfavorable situation, again relationship oriented leadership style should be observed or taken. Okay, so these are the two major styles of leadership. First is task oriented, then employee or relationship oriented. What is task oriented? In which relationship are not preferred. What is a relationship centered leadership? In this is the leadership in which tasks or works are not preferred. Again, I am going to tell you the crux or conclusion of this theory. This leadership style is given by Fedler. What he tells you that there are three critical dimensions you have to understand before adopting any kind of style of leadership. What are three dimensions? The very first is positional power. The second is task structure. Last is leader member relationship. If these three are positive for leader, this is favorable situation. If these are negative for leader, these are unfavorable situation. And these are two style of leadership. First is task oriented style. Second is employee oriented or relationship oriented style. If this is very favorable situation, leadership should be task oriented. If unfavorable, again task oriented. Moderately favorable, relationship oriented. If moderately unfavorable situation, then a relationship oriented leadership should be there. So that was the theory given by Fedler. Now I think this is the time to move further for the next theory, and this is the leadership continuum. Okay. So this was given by Robert Tannenbaum and Warren H. Schmidt. So they devised the continuum of leaders' behavior. They told you the seven steps of delegating the authority, seven ways or seven types of leadership styles. You can easily say that these range from boss-centered approach to subordinate-centered approach. Okay, I am going to teach you in a very detailed manner. So this is boss-centered leadership. This is subordinate centered leadership. Okay, So this is use of authority by manager. This is freedom of subordinate. There are 7 styles. Okay. In the first style, manager makes the decision and announce it. This is the first style. Okay. He takes all authority with himself. In the second style, he sells the decision. He gives the decision only. Okay. None kind of autonomy to the subordinates. In the third style, he presents ideas and invites a question from the subordinates, somewhat freedom to the employees. So this is the third style. Okay. In the fourth style, manager present a tentative decision subject to change. So this is the fourth style. Okay. This is the fourth style in which this decision is subject to change. Again, the freedom, somewhat freedom of employees there. Then in the fifth style, manager present problem, gets suggestion, making decision. Again, employees are in a position to give suggestions. So they again have some more degree of freedom. Okay. In the sixth one, manager defines limits, group, ask group to make decision. He gives the freedom to make decision under a certain limit. So this is known as the sixth style of leadership. In the last one, he permits the subordinates to function as per their own decisions. So this is complete freedom for the subordinate, or the seventh style. So this is from the boss-centered to subordinate-centered approach. This line is drawn. This is why this is known as continuum. Continuum. So that was the very famous theory given by these two famous personality, Robert Tannenbaum and Warren H. Schmidt. So they have given 7 steps by which the authority is transferred from manager to the lower level personals. So now we move to the next theory. This is going to be the Likkert's 4 system of management. They have given the 4 systems or the 4 theories of management. Okay. He was a professor, renowned professor, Francis Lickert, in the University of Michigan. They studied and they suggested 4 patterns and styles of leadership. The first system, 1, this is exploitative authoritative. This leadership system tells that the manager is a dictator, like there was Adolf Hitler. Okay, manager is a dictator. This is known as exploitative authoritative leadership style. This was system 1 under this theory, Likkert's 4 system. What was the second one? This was benevolent authoritative. That was, again, this is dictatorship, but having the confidence in your employees. Okay, having the confidence in your employees that they shall obey your instructions. So this is known as second style. This is known as benevolent authoritative. The third one is consultative. This is giving some kind of a freedom to employees. Okay, this kind of leadership styles tell that you must have complete confidence and trust in managers in this system do not have complete confidence, but they still take the advice from their subordinates and retain the right to make the final decision. Okay, this is known as consultative leadership style, in which the manager take the consultation from his subordinates. And the last one is participative style. In this system, he completely have the confidence and trust in his subordinate and employees. He just give them the freedom to take the decision and employ them in their respective area. So these were the 4 leadership styles given by Francis Lickert. The first was exploitative authoritative, then benevolent authoritative, then consultative, last was participative. And I think this is the time for the last theory. Okay, that this we have already done. This was about Francis Lickert. This is the last managerial grid. I have placed it in a very last thing, and this is very important. Number of times from question from this specific part was asked. That theory was given by Robert Blake and Jane Sergey Morton. They have given 5 leadership styles. 5 leadership styles. Okay, number of time question has been asked. Very important theory. Okay, the first leadership is style is 9,1. This is known as authority compliance management. There is high concern for production but low concern for relationship. Means task oriented. Okay. This is second style, which is 9,1. This is known as country club management. If I show you in this way, I think it will be very fine for you to understand. This is the complete grid. This is known as managerial grid. This is 1.9 country club. You don't need to be worried if this is blur image, because each and everything shall be provided to you. This is country club management. 9,9 is team management. 5,5 is middle road management. 1,1 is improvised management. 9,1 is authority compliance. These are all 5 different styles of leadership. Okay. So one we have gone through. 1,9 is country club. That means high concern for people but low concern for production. Means a relationship management. Then 1,1 is impoverished management. This is low concern for people, low concern for task. When people do not, or the manager do not make concern for anyone. This is the fourth one, 9,9. This is team management. High concern for both production and management, in which production and management are taken into consideration both at high level. And the last one is 5,5. This is organization man or middle to the road management. This is intermediate approach for both. Somewhat 50% level for production, 50% for the relationships. Okay. So these were the 5 styles as suggested by the Robert Blake and G.S. Moulton, that is famously known as leadership grid. And basically these are 5 styles of management. So in this way we have completed. I think that was a lot to study today, and we have been able to complete this specific topic by now. And I'm just going to amend what are the problems there. So so this is the complete thing you have to understand in your lectures. Okay. So in this way, I think I have been able to complete or teach you in a very structured manner. So you have to take into consideration all these theories, not for the leadership, but the motivation as well, because these are very important from the exam point of view. Number of times the questions from these theories have been asked. So I hope I was well in telling you all about all these theories. And about tomorrow's lecture, tomorrow the communication is going to be started, and the next topic regarding paper second is going to be started. And I hope you are very regular and you are doing each and everything as per our instructions. Thank you so much for joining me in this lecture. This is Gurpal Singh.